Hello, my name is Dr. Ulbrich and I'm happy to show you VIX lines, how they work and what they are good for. So basically it's very easy because VIX lines are to support discretionary trading decisions, to show the invisible volatility lines which exist in the market. And without VIX lines, you would probably not be easy to see how volatility spreads through the chart because it's basically invisible. And so VIX lines build support and resistance. Of course, the support lines are the blue lines here, and the resistance lines are the red lines here. If we look at the chart, you should see that you find the right space or the right visible area, and you can do this by clicking on background dragging. And with background dragging, your TradeStation arrow will change to a little hand. Maybe you can see it here, and you are able to drag it here, and you are able to build the right dimension to view everything. So you should know it to start. And another thing which is important as we start is that you ensure that bars back are set to 700. And the reason is easy because VIX lines do a lot of calculation on each bar. And if you have too many bars, your computer will not be able to calculate it. And of course, it's you have to set both charts here to 700 bars back. You need a relatively strong computer to calculate VIX lines because it's doing a lot of calculations. Now we look into how we can use VIX lines. So I have opened here two charts. This chart is on the shorter time frame, 5 minute. This chart is on the higher time frame, on the daily time frame. And of course, we use the daily time frame to define the major trend. And so VIX lines have two components. One is this pivot point. You can see it in blue here or in blue here. And they have 8 straight VIX lines and this big resistance line. And so when we look here at the silver daily chart here, we can see that silver went up in the resistance and then it fall down into the support. And here on the support we had one of these blue pivot points painted. And as silver hit on the daily time frame into the support and one pivot point was plotted, it was a good day to start a long trade on the longer time frame. And if there is a day to trade long, we go into the smaller time frame. On the smaller time frame, for example, here we had a point where silver was coming down, was hitting the VIX line support here, and we see that it breaks through. But that's life, it's not always 100% accurate. But this would be a good time to start because it hits the major VIX line and the VIX line number 1, and it had a dot. So and if we have started here, we maybe have gotten out here at the first resistance as we take an active stop. Otherwise, if we just set the stop below here and see how it develops, it's also possible that if we enter here, we can use this last VIX line to set a stop below the last VIX line and see how it develops. And you can see here as silver has hit the major VIX line, it got resistance and went down a little bit. Here again, got resistance, went down, and this is how it's working. So basically, we go on the longer time frame to see the general trend, and if we know the general trend, we are not forced to trade the general trend, but for longer term trades it's recommended to go with a longer trend. I will give you an example. For example, here we had a very strong move up and we had resistance from the major VIX line, we had a red dot, and also we had resistance here. So it would be maybe a good opportunity to trade short, even if the general trend is a long trend. But when we trade against the trend direction, we should be aware of it and take shorter stop losses and take the profits earlier from the table. So when we trade against the trend, we take profit earlier. When we go with the trend, we can let it run. So if we take, for example, on this trade here, we just would be able to set a stop loss maybe here and go up and see what happens. And here on the daily time frame, you can see that VIX Lines basically works on every time frame. And on the longer time frame, you can see it, that it works on every time frame. Of course, I had people who sent me screenshots showing, look here, the commodity went through the VIX line. Of course, it's possible. It's possible, but in general, we can assume that if it hits the major VIX line, then it will find resistance in one of these helping lines. And these helping lines plot into the future. They plot into the future and gives us a feeling how it will develop in the future. What we can see here, for example, that the VIX lines went further down, and we can assume, or there's the danger, that it goes through to this point here in the future. And this is how VIX Lines helps you. If we look into the workspaces, you can see that I connected this workspace here on the interval and this workspace only on the commodity. And if we change to another commodity, we simply can click here. Here, for example, on gold weekly. And if I click on gold weekly, it will change on gold here, but the interval will stay the same. And here, the interval will change from daily to weekly. And again, I drag it here to get a good view. And what we can see here, that gold was in a relatively narrow range. And you could see the VIX lines came together here on this narrow range. And gold behaved quite good in the VIX lines. You can see here it hits the upper point, there it goes down, and here it hits the lower point, again the lower point, the upper point, and basically gold behaved like the VIX lines were showing us in this channel. And now we had a breakout through the lower part on gold. And again, you can see here, here it stopped earlier, but here you can see it got in the VIX lines and found immediately resistance from the VIX lines and went back and went down again. And here, if you look precisely, it's changed direction here on the VIX lines. And what we can see here, that the main VIX line band went down. And when we look only at this chart, I would see the opportunity that the gold goes down. And if we, for example, if we want to go for a short trade, we maybe should put our short position here, because when gold moves up here, there's the opportunity that it will fall down. When we look into the daily chart, we can see that VIX lines also work for gold on the daily chart, and we can, for example, see here that gold hits the upper range and found resistance here in the upper range and went down again. And so now it's in somewhere in the middle. And for example, on this day, we may have opened a short trade for the longer run, and we have used the smaller time frame to open the short trade. And what's not recommended is to open a trade when we are in the middle of something. For example, here we are in the middle, and don't open trades in the middle because it's not good. Open mails in the upper band or open trades in the lower band. And set stop loss below these helping lines. Set stop losses below here or here, regarding which trade you do, and keep in mind what the longer time frame is doing. And for example, if we want to change for the daily time frame, we just click here and it is changing to the daily time frame. Okay, what we saw so far is not the only function of VIX lines, because if you have a huge number of stocks, you are too lazy to click on every single stock. It's a lot of work, and so we want to have it easier. And we are lucky because we have TradeStation a radar screen, and we can insert this indicator, the VIX line indicator, into TradeStation radar screen. And if we insert it in a radar screen, we see here OBOS, overbought, oversold indicator. And the overbought, oversold indicator tells us here, for example, that this simmer holding is overbought 0 bars ago, and the upper line is 2.6 average true ranges away. And if we look into the chart, we can see, and this is the daily chart. Here below, we can see on the daily chart that it was overbought 0 bars ago. This is basically this bar here, and this major VIX line is 2.6 average true ranges away. And this information is given as a summary here, so it really helps us. And not only is it a summary, I also included each stock double. So first on the 60-minute time frame, and second on the daily time frame. And it makes sense because you can check here in this overview each stock on 2 time frames, and you also can include it for a weekly time frame or whatever you want. And if you click here, the symbols are sorted by their name, and this helps us to easily overview what has happened. For example, if we look here on Allstate we see overbought 0 bars ago and oversold 2 bars ago. I click here, and we look daily overbought. So it went too far, and on the 60-minute oversold. You can see it here, but this does not make sense. It might have make sense to go in a short position here some bars ago, because then it was overbought on a daily bar and overbought on an hourly bar, and we could assume that it goes down. And you can see here it hit resistance and it goes exactly on these VIX lines after hitting resistance and went down a little bit. And of course, when we are in a very strong bull market, we can assume that if we hit the VIX line, and you can see here basically we are in a bull market, but it's ending, that it might go a little bit further. So when we look through, of course we want to have 2 time frames in the same direction. And for example, here on Comcast, we are overbought on the lower time frame and overbought on the higher time frame, and the upper line is somehow a little bit away on the lower time frame, on the 60-minute time frame. And so for this reason, we can assume that when the stock accelerates a little bit in the northern direction and hits the VIX line, that it will be a good candidate for a short trade. So I hope this helps you a lot, and as it is work in process, I'm open if you have some inputs regarding this, and so I'm happy to get your input. And please don't send me a screenshot that a stock hits the VIX lines and went through, because this can happen. It's trading, and I just say this is a high probability. It's better than doing something else. This is what I say. So if you have input regarding a function or what can be better, I'm interested in it. And yeah, so I wish you a lot of success with your trading, and it would be nice if you leave a message in the TradeStation Strategy Network or write a review for me there, because I'm keen on feedback. Thanks a lot. Have success in trading. Bye bye.